why do you believe with all of this, we've become so adverse to some form of mental pain in the world?
Hmm. That's um, that's a question that sits on many different levels, because there is the level of the individual that you're highlighting, and there's also then the level of the material world in terms of, what's going on in terms of our socioeconomic world. But there's also that level of what are the ways of thinking that we're encouraging. Because how we imagine, how we interpret our experiences has a huge impact on how we actually experience. Um, so there are so many different layers to what you've just introduced as something to try and understand what's going on. I agree with much of what you've said, and I do think we are shifting further and further towards towards a situation where a lot of people have been, and I think they maybe don't realize because they passionately hold on to these views, that they're being disempowered. They're disempowering themselves, but they're also, it's because we've introduced these concepts, like I've been explaining, which are disempowering in themselves. So the concept that you have this lifelong condition, for example, autism, and because you have this lifelong condition, it makes it difficult for you to do all sorts of things, or that you have ADHD and it makes it really difficult for you to hand in your work on time or whatever it is. And me, as a child and adolescent psychiatrist, one of the things I've really worried about is the impact this has on children growing up. Because one of the things that I explain to young people and to parents who are worried about their children, and I don't see parents who are kind of there trying to, they come seeking a diagnosis or seeking because they've been educated to think that there are all these conditions going on in the young people. But when one of the constants about young people is that change will happen. Actually, that's something that's constant about all our lives. Change is the one constant as we move through life, but it's particularly the case during adolescence. So during adolescence, during childhood, but particularly during adolescence, you're going to change your interests. You're going to have emerging sexuality. You're going to start feeling things in a lot deeper way. Your friendship group might change. Your ambitions might change. That change is the one constant. This idea of fixing people into that they've got this condition and that this condition is potentially lifelong, it's profoundly disempowering, because you start interpreting some of your experiences and some of your behaviors as if they're a sign that there's something wrong in you, and something fundamentally wrong in you that cannot be healed or changed or influenced in some way by yourself or the people around you.
Does it bring on like a learned helplessness?
It's a type of learned helplessness, because you start to interpret your experiences as there's a part of you that shouldn't be there, that you should try and suppress, or you should try and get rid of. And if you can't, then you are basically, that's what you have to live with. But you've already sensitized people to this idea that there's something in them, something fundamental, something potentially wrong, something that's going to make things difficult. A colleague of mine, an Australian psychiatrist called John Uridini, wrote this lovely paper that really, just in the title, emphasizes the importance of something. The title of his paper, which caused a lot of controversy in Australia, he's a child psychiatrist as well. The title of his paper was "Let Your Children Cry." And what he was arguing was that our job as parents is not to try and protect children from all these stresses and the struggles with growing up. Because if we do, they're not going to be enabled to discover that you can live through adversity. That is part of growing up. That is part of deepening your psychological sense of yourself and of the world. Our job as parents is to be there, support them, be patient with them, and allow them to go through these struggles without imagining that we need to sort these things out for them. That is how we discover resilience. Resilience, there's this trend that you can teach resilience. To me, that's nonsense. Resilience is an experience. Teaching is a cognitive thing. You only discover resilience by surviving adversity.
If you enjoyed that clip with Sami, then YouTube has thrown another clip that it thinks you're going to enjoy. Might even be an episode. And it's going to place it right here.